So here's a Mercedes Benz you may have forgotten about, the CLS class. Yes, it's still around. Yes, it even just got mildly refreshed for 2022. And here I am driving it, and I have lots of questions about why it's still here. This is the 2022 Mercedes Benz CLS450 4MATIC. It is the only CLS you can buy now for this model year and forward until they change things. They have dropped the base rear-wheel drive model. They have dropped the higher spec AMG tuned CLS53 model. This is it. This is it. This is the only one you get, which leads me to believe that they're waiting to figure out where to take this next and if it still needs to exist. So, when the CLS first arrived, it was kind of revolutionary in terms of styling alongside Audi's A7. Coupe-shaped sedans kind of transformed that segment and created their own niche for quite a while. And they're still surprisingly popular even in the face of just ever-growing demand for more crossovers. You have the normal stuff, you have occasional wagons, which are, rarer and rarer, and then you have tons of crossovers and tons of curvy sedans. This is a curvy sedan. I can't tell how well it sells in the brand because they lump the sales for the volume for the CLS with the E-Class. Because this is basically, it's not a curvy S-Class, it's a curvy E-Class, which is why it doesn't have insane room inside and it doesn't have the latest tech like the S-Class has. And you get to pay more for the privilege of having less. But that's what people who buy these, they sign up willingly to do that. And that's fine. So let's dive into the meat of it. On the outside, it is a sharp looking sedan. And I said there were some changes. There's been a slightly revised front grille space. On the inside, there's been very minor modifications. You get the nice big dual screen in here. You've got that going on. On the outside again, though, back to the outside, this blue shade, which was hard to pick up on camera because it's an overcast day. The blue shade looks great. The AMG line wheels look excellent. AMG line is now a standard package on the CLS450 for 2022. And then on the inside, I know it got a revised steering wheel, and I mentioned the screens. I got to double check because those might have been there for 2021 as well. But regardless, the changes here are minor, with the exception of just straight up dropping two models. Now on the inside, it is comfortable. I will say that this particular shade, the leather finish, the seats are comfortable, but the leather finish on the other touch points, like where the glove box, basically the lower section of the trim panel, looks and feels kind of cheap for what you're paying for here. I'm over piano black, so I don't need this pinstripe zoot suit going on. I still love the design, the round gauges, that still looks great. The dual screen setup works really well. And then, like I said, these seats have full massaging, heated and cooled, all that wonderful stuff that you should get when you're paying this much money for a car. Now, with respect to the one and only choice for a powertrain here, you have a 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 paired with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. And the result is a very pleasant 369 horsepower routed through a 9-speed gearbox out to all 4 wheels. It is a smooth powertrain for 99% of your day, and it is an entertaining enough powertrain when you put it into Sport Plus and go enjoy a curvy road like we're doing here out on the Hooniverse Highway hooning grounds. Occasionally though, in Sport Plus, when you come to a stop, there's some weird hard shifts between 1-2, 2-1 if it's going down. If you're flooring it, you don't get it because it thinks you want all the power. But if you're just leaving a stop sign, sometime there is a weird bit of clunkiness at play. But it's only occasional, and I only notice it in Sport Plus. So there's just like a weird shove there for no reason. But again, I'm in Sport Plus, so it thinks I want to be super aggressive. The steering does feel nice. There's a decent amount of body roll, but this is, again, not an AMG vehicle. This is a curvy E-Class that delivers a very comfortable, nice ride. So there's some body roll to be expected here. And I am in Sport Plus, and it still does it. It's not like it's stiffening up massively. That is a Civic carrying a dirt bike. Good for you. So the ride is nice. The styling is good. The interior volume could be better, obviously. Get an E-Class get an S-Class if you have the dough for that one. So that's where I want to get to price. The base price of the CLS450 is right in the low to mid $70,000 range, which is a ton of money. This one, as tested, is $93,000, which is a heck of a lot of money, and it leaves you right at the starting point of the AMG GT43, and that is a much more substantial vehicle. Just in terms of like the aggressive styling, and even though it's basically a similar engine as this one here, it's just a little bit more tuned for aggressiveness. Now, below the CLS, obviously, in terms of this sort of styling, you have the CLA, which feels like a much less interesting vehicle. That's, you know, it's a baby Mercedes where it's like, hey, how little can I spend to get into this club, and you'd be better served buying, you know, an Acura or something along those lines than spending money on a CLA. So the CLS lives in between those, and it sits there price-wise, but, you know, more people are going to be buying GLEs, and I just don't understand why, if you're going to spend this much money, you can just get more substance in an E-Class. You get more headroom for your rear seat passengers. You get a bigger trunk. Or if you're spending the dough on a maxed out CLS and you want this shape and you want to have fun, I'm sure the monthly payment difference in jumping to an AMG GT isn't much. And if you're spending that much, maybe you're just buying it. But if you're not, if you're financing, not leasing, or, you know, actually too, if you can compare like financing a CLS to financing, reverse those, financing a CLS to leasing an AMG GT, because honestly, if you buy this, you probably don't care about like, oh, I gotta own it. Like, it's not like you're gonna own it for 10 years and then hand it off to your kids, because that's not what you do with these vehicles anymore. So I'd love to do the math and see what the price difference is between, you know, a top spec CLS and then a base or nicely equipped AMG GT43. You don't have to jump to the Monster 53, though you can, but you cannot do CLS 53 anymore. So I'm very curious what Mercedes has in store for the future of the CLS. Are we waiting to get a fully refreshed model with the best bits of the latest E and S-Class models? So, you know, 3D display in the gauges and the MBUX system, you know, the user experience system, that's the latest and greatest. We're gonna get a little bit more interior room maybe in a future model, and we're gonna bring in some other powertrains. Could there be a hybrid or more EQ electrified version in the future for one of these? Or is this the end of the ride for the CLS? I don't know if it is, because people are still buying coupe-shaped sedans. I hate that they call this a coupe. When I went for more information on Mercedes consumer website so that I could price one out and see where I built one, I was, you know, there's the drop-down menus and it's like SUVs, wagons has its own thing, sedans. I looked under sedans, it's not there. They put it under coupes, which it's going to give me an aneurysm. This is not a coupe. It has 4 doors. It has a curved roof. That doesn't mean it's a coupe. I hate this. I hate this conversation. It is not a coupe. It is a sedan. It has 4 doors. That's how this works. That's the game. That's it. So it should be under the sedans on the website. But I'm losing track. Sloan, am I getting too upset about that? Okay, thank you. So back to the car. I don't know where this car. Candy King? Oh, the candy store. I know where the car exists in the lineup. It's much more interesting than a CLA. It is just below the AMG GT. So it makes sense where it fits in the family lines, you know, price and substance and style-wise. I'd forgotten about these. I don't have a strong care about these. And yeah, it drives nice enough when you get on it, but I mean, I would rather have the E53 if you weren't going full AMG. Obviously E63, monster machine. I mean, I'd rather have an E400 wagon because I'm a, you know, smooth-brained automotive journalist, but that's not true. That's actually the Galaxy brain decision, is the E400. Fantastic. Well, you can only see Mercedes ruin that too, because you can only get the E450 all-terrain, and I don't want an E450 all-terrain. I want an E450 regular terrain. And that's another thing. The lane departure in this car is wickedly aggressive. Like it's almost, I would call it Karen warning departure system, where if your wheel is thinking about even touching the sidelines, it slams the brakes on that side. It's like, no, learn how to drive. And it's embarrassing because your passengers will think you're an idiot. It's enough of a decel where I wouldn't be surprised if it, I don't know if it does, but I wouldn't be surprised if it activates the brake lights. So on the highway, you just look like, cover your ears for a second. On the highway, you look like an asshole. You can uncover. Did you cover them? You've heard Daddy say worse. So I don't hate this vehicle. I don't love it. It's not stirring my soul at all. Like, if you're gonna spend this much money on a Mercedes, you should be like, wow, yay. It's good looking. It's totally a fine looking machine, but if I'm shopping even specifically in Mercedes, the family specifically, there are many other options I would consider before I consider this one. Like I said, I don't hate it. I don't love it either. What do you think? Which old one? She's talking about when we had a 1974 280, which was also blue and was an absolutely lovely Mercedes as well. Yes.
You sold it.
I sold it, correct. And it's off to a good home. The current owner occasionally autocrosses it, which is way cooler than anything I ever did with it. So there you go.
What did you do with it?
I just drove it. It's just a car. All right, there you go. Do you want to say anything else? Always like the sticker. What are you doing? Crazy. So here's a Mercedes Benz you might have forgotten about. I know I did. I haven't paid attention to the CLS. What? Ben?
Yes.
Who's Ben?
Uncle Ben.
I don't know, sweetie. Let me just do this, okay?